when massive monsters suddenly descended from the torn sky, bustling cities turned into ruins. Facing these overwhelming beasts, humanity was pushed to the brink of despair. As a terrifying giant wolf rained down destructive beams, survivors clung to each other in the ruins. The shadow of extinction loomed heavily over the desperate world. Just when all hope seemed lost, awakened humans stepped forward. Using their innate traits to fight back, they became humanity's last line of defense, the hunters. Over time, the world blindly worshipped these traits. This disgusted the legendary Fist King, who smashed a board in fury at the sight of hunters relying purely on magic. In his eyes, a true hunter should crush enemies with purely refined physical strength. With this conviction, he met an abandoned 5-year-old boyar boy, Shin Yusung. On a pouring night, the Fist King adopted Yusung. Upon inspecting the boy's body, he was shocked to discover the legendary yet completely fatal 9 blocked veins. While this physique granted an exceptional mind, it meant a guaranteed early death. Hearing he wouldn't live long, our boy was terrified and started sweating bullets. But the Fist King burst into laughter. Yusung's overwhelming pure yang energy perfectly neutralized the deadly curse, miraculously creating a flawless, once-in-a-millennium martial arts physique. Looking at this unpolished gem, the Fist King's eyes lit up. He firmly reached out, vowing to forge our boy into an unstoppable martial god. The legend begins here. Overjoyed by his new disciple's rare physique, the Fist King bursts into laughter and lifts the boy high into the air, knowing he's found a true prodigy. Soon after, our boy's hellish mountain training begins. At just 7 years old, he's already taking down massive monsters. Though the master acts tough, he still carefully checks his disciples' wounds. As the days pass, our boy's martial arts skills grow exponentially. Facing a towering giant mantis monster, he doesn't flinch. With a sharp glare, he shifts into a stance and unleashes a devastating punch. The ferocious strike instantly obliterates the monster and the surrounding rocks. The 10-year-old boy slowly rises from the rubble, his small body already packing an unreasonable amount of explosive power. Years of relentless battles fly by, and our boy is now 13. To test his ever-growing disciple, the Fist King steps up to spar. Feeling his master's overwhelming presence, our boy immediately tenses up and readies his stance. Without warning, the Fist King launches himself from above like a falling meteor. Facing this absolute difference in power, our boy tightly crosses his arms, gritting his teeth to withstand the terrifying shockwave. But the master's assault is relentless, following up with another crushing dive punch. With a deafening boom, our boy is sent flying backwards before he can even attempt to dodge. A normal person would be down for the count, but not our guy. Instead of giving up, he quickly steadies himself and launches a counterattack. His sharp response even forces a compliment out of the Fist King. Just then, a large hand rests firmly on his head. Looking at his panting disciple, the Fist King smiles proudly, praising his progress while reminding him that there are countless stronger foes waiting in the outside world. Facing his master's terrifying aura and overwhelming suppression, our boy realized for the first time just how many strong hunters existed out there. But he wasn't about to give up. Smashing his fist into the ground, he pushed through the pressure and loudly shouted his vow to never back down. And so, 12 years of hellish training flew by. Looking at his disciples' resolute eyes, the strict master announced that today would be their last day together. After over a decade of extreme physical conditioning, 17-year-old Shin Yusung had completely shed his childhood innocence, revealing an incredibly powerful physique. Our boy changed into clean clothes, ready for his new journey. Right then, his master handed him a faintly glowing silver ring as a graduation gift. A hologram projected from the ring, revealing a recommendation letter to the top-tier Jain Academy. Carrying his master's high hopes, he bowed deeply and headed out. His master's parting words echoed in his mind. The world is vast, and this top academy is filled with countless gifted and tough competitors. No matter what trials lay ahead, watching his disciple walk away, the master knew our boy would use his pure martial arts to reach the absolute top. After leaving his master, our boy arrives at Jain Academy. It's an elite institution where talented students gather for intense combat training. Seeing the dazzling display of superpowers, our boy, who grew up in the mountains, is completely mesmerized. He blushes with excitement for his new academy life. Stepping into the office, he is warmly welcomed by the principal. The man is all smiles, thinking he hit the jackpot by recruiting the martial king's disciple. As soon as they sit down, the principal eagerly asks about his abilities. He expects a rare S-rank genius, but our boy bluntly admits he's just an F rank. The principal's smile instantly freezes. Refusing to believe it, he pulls out a scanner to check, only to completely lose his mind when he sees the glaring F-rank result. While the principal freaks out, our boy casually explains that true strength doesn't need traits. Feeling totally scammed, the principal turns to the window with a dead serious expression. Despite finding it absurd, the principal kept his promise and accepted our boy. But he made one thing crystal clear: in Jain Academy, ability is everything. He has to prove his worth with his own fists. Being the only F rank in the academy, the system automatically posted a bounty on our boy. Defeat him in sparring, and you get massive free points. The whole school was instantly buzzing about this so-called Fist King's disciple. Rank 42 student Ju Hajin's eyes lit up at the news of easy points. To him, this whole Fist King's disciple title was nothing but a blatant scam. Grabbing his classmate's shoulder with a greedy grin, he called dibs on teaching the arrogant freshman a lesson. He wasn't going to let these free points slip away. Overflowing with misplaced confidence, Hajin swaggered out of the classroom. He was fully ready to use our boy as his personal, free punching bag. He immediately bumped into someone and was about to curse them out, but instantly broke into a cold sweat. It was Adela, the academy's undeniable rank 1 genius. The previously arrogant bully bolted away in sheer terror. Ignoring the fleeing clown, Adela's attention was caught by the bounty announcement. Hearing the name Fist King triggered a childhood memory of her grandfather's strongest ally. It seems a fateful encounter is already brewing in the shadows. The Fist King, a legend hailed as the strongest hunter in human history. His name still strikes awe into people, and now, it's making headlines once again. Hearing that the legendary hero actually has a disciple, even the academy's top genius, Adela, can't help but take a keen interest in our boy. Meanwhile, our boy is trying on his new Jain Academy uniform. Thanks to the help of a friendly classmate, the fit is absolutely spot on. Equipped with a safety barrier device, Yusung can now fight without holding back. Although people are worried about his tough first opponent, our guy looks completely unfazed. With his friends wishing him luck, Yusung calmly heads toward the arena. The highly anticipated Jain Academy enrollment test has officially begun. The massive combat arena is packed, and reporters are hyping up the mysterious freshman who carries the heavy title of Fist King's disciple. Standing on the other side is Ju Hajin, a senior student ranked 42nd. Basking in the spotlight, he makes no effort to hide his absolute arrogance. The cocky upperclassman boldly declares he's going to expose whether our boy actually deserves to be here, or if he's just riding his master's coattails. The stage is set for a brutal showdown. Meanwhile, the arena is roaring with excitement. Rank 42 Ju Hajin makes a flashy entrance, practically drooling at the thought of using our boy as a punching bag to show off. During his interview, our guy drops a short statement and leaves it at that. This only pisses Hajin off more, who arrogantly vows to crush this F-rank trash immediately. But the exact moment the start signal rings, Hajin doesn't even get a chance to react. Our boy clears the distance in a flash, appearing right in front of him. With one clean, bone-crushing punch, the villain's barrier shatters as he's sent flying to the floor. This absurd one-shot leaves the entire audience totally speechless. It isn't until the stunned announcer stammers out the results that reality sinks in. Up in the stands, his partner Samir watches in pure, emotional disbelief over his flawless victory. Cut to the infirmary, where a badly bruised Hajin snaps awake. Sporting a brand new neck brace, he looks around in sheer panic, still reeling from the brutal knockout. Even now, he can't comprehend how our boy moves so fast. A deep sense of dread washes over him, as he simply cannot accept being obliterated by an F-rank freshman. The scene shifts to the director's office. Impressed by our boy's astonishing strength, the director enthusiastically claps his hands, officially welcoming him to Jain Academy. However, the director turns serious, stating that the entrance exam was merely a warm-up. If our guy wants to follow his master's path to greatness, he must aim for the absolute top of the academy, the sevens. Although no F-rank student has ever made it into the sevens in academy history, the director has full faith in our boy, believing his pure martial arts can shatter this class prejudice. Their conversation is suddenly interrupted by a knock on the door. To help our boy navigate the campus, the director arranged a guide, and the one walking in is none other than the friendly Lee Saiwoo. The two then walk side by side down the bustling hallway. Hearing that our boy needed someone to show him around, Saiwoo eagerly took on the job without hesitation. Seeing Saiwoo confidently patting his chest, a gentle smile appears in our boy's eyes. His true academy life has finally begun. Saiwu enthusiastically shakes our boy's hand, fanboying over his spectacular one-punch knockout. It's exactly the kind of debut you'd expect from the martial god's disciple. Their friendly chat is abruptly cut short by an intense presence. A green-eyed girl blocks their path, arms crossed and practically radiating an intimidating aura. Startled by her fierce glare, Saiwu quickly apologizes for not watching his step. The girl is about to lash out, but her haughty expression shifts to surprise when she recognizes our guy's face. Leaning in close, she maliciously whispers the cruel title our family's defective product. This venomous taunt instantly sends shockwaves through the eavesdropping students. Our boy is actually from the legendary Shino family. Those cold words violently trigger our boy's darkest childhood traumas. Memories of being abandoned to terrifying monsters come rushing back, leaving him instantly pale, sweating, and paralyzed by panic. Seeing our guy pale and shaken, the ever-kind Saiwu quickly intervenes. Using the sudden heavy rain as an excuse, he gently suggests taking him to the dorms to rest, safely pulling him away. Saiwu smoothly pushes open the door to the Class F dorm. Surprisingly, the single room is neat and quite comfortable, the perfect quiet sanctuary for our boy to finally catch his breath. After a chaotic day, our boy's enthusiastic guide helps him settle into the dorm. He leaves his number and the key, making sure our guy feels right at home before waving goodbye. Finally getting a moment to breathe, our guy takes a hot shower. He flops onto the bed with a sweet banana milk, soaking in the rare peace and quiet. However, the sound of rain outside the window quietly brings back memories he'd rather forget. It was pouring just like this 12 years ago. In the cold and calculating Shino family, everyone's fate is sealed by their vessel at birth. To the elders, anyone without potential is simply tossed aside. The cold car drives off into the rainy night, leaving young Yusung completely alone in the downpour. Facing his family's cruel betrayal, he looks so small and helpless. Even though it is an incredibly painful memory, he didn't cry back then. Brainwashed by their fatalism, he actually believed it was all his own fault. He blamed himself for awakening an F-rank trait, and for not being a shining genius like his sister. He thought he was thrown away like trash simply because he was useless. To hide his sorrow, young Yusung forced a smile, quietly accepting his label as a defective product. But just when he was most alone in the rain, a massive figure stepped up to him with an umbrella. "I am Yuanhak, the Fist King, the strongest hunter in the world." This man's booming voice didn't just pierce through the freezing rain, it completely shattered our boy's grim destiny. As the rain pours, a buried memory resurfaces. Back then, faced with the empty promises of adults, he had already learned to close his heart. In this cruel world, expectations only invite deeper despair. However, a mountain of a man forcefully entered his world with a completely different answer. His master taught him that the strongest aren't flawless beings who never fail, but those who brave countless falls. Even if you cry in despair, I'll teach you how to stand back up. I guarantee you'll become the strongest hunter. On that freezing day, the Fist King's powerful hand pulled him right out of the abyss. The ripples of memory fade as a crisp chime from his smart band brings our boy back to reality. It's a barrage of caring messages from the cheerful Saiwu, who noticed his slight change in mood. With a faint smile at the sincere words, Shin Yusung peacefully closes his eyes. The gloomy past has been overwritten by new bonds, but in this volatile academy, his real test has only just begun. The morning sun wakes our girl right on time. Samire quickly gets dressed, puts on her glowing earrings, and energetically steps out to welcome a brand new day. Even after a month, JN Academy's luxurious facilities still leave her in awe. Unfortunately, these high-end training rooms are strictly reserved for top-tier students. As a bottom-ranked Class F student, Samire knows these resources are out of reach. She can only stand timidly, gazing at the image room with pure envy. Just then, a man in a traditional yellow top smilingly interrupts the chatter. He introduces himself as Lin Xiao, a rank 5 hunter, and the new instructor. A sudden gasp echoes through the crowd as our boy arrives. Both Samire and Lin Xiao immediately recognize him, eagerly calling out his status as the Fist King's apprentice. Facing the instructor's test, our boy confidently states he hasn't skipped a single day of training. Lin Xiao smiles with satisfaction, hinting that a special exam is already brewing. To test our boy's true limits, instructor Lin Xiao smilingly brings him to the image room. After all, nothing shuts down doubters better than a real combat test. As the hologram expands, the instructor cranks the difficulty to the max. He selects a rank 3 hard mode and randomly summons a brutal battle orc tribe. This insane setup leaves the spectators completely dumbfounded. To them, Sending an F-rank student into this hellish difficulty is nothing short of a suicide mission. However, our guy remains completely unfazed. As the system finishes loading, the empty room transforms into a barren desert canyon, and he calmly steps onto the battlefield. Right on cue, 3 vicious desert orcs appear. The red-skinned leader glares at the intruder, roaring fiercely while gripping his massive battle axe. Facing down the massive beasts, our boy takes a deep breath and enters a state of absolute focus. As his glowing blue eyes snap open, the real hunt is about to begin. Facing an ambush from hidden archers and frontline monsters, our boy instantly sees through their classic bait and snipe tactic. Without breaking a sweat, he focuses his energy and slams his weapon into the ground, sending a massive shockwave that blows the frontline enemies away. Just then, enemies ambush from above. He doesn't even flinch, delivering a devastating uppercut right into their faces. The sheer force of his punch doesn't just stop there, it creates a shockwave that completely obliterates the hidden archers in the rocks. The monsters are wiped out before they can even process what happened. As the dust settles, the system announces it's clear of the hard mode. Back to reality, it turns out it was just a simulation test. As our boy stands perfectly fine, the new record announcement leaves the whole class in pure shock. Watching an F-rank student shatter the record with pure martial arts, Examiner Lin Xiao smiles knowingly. He knows this is no fluke. Right after the test, the energetic Li Saiwa rushes over with drinks. He showers our guy with praises, while starting to explain the Academy's brutal survival of the fittest rules. Students casually discuss the untouchable top 7 seats, firmly believing that no lower-ranking student could ever reach such elite heights. However, reality hits hard when the latest leaderboard shows our boy shattering the record, dethroning the white-haired genius Adela. Seeing this unknown name, Adela's expression turns completely serious. Before anyone can recover from the shock, everyone's smartwatches light up simultaneously. The highly anticipated team assignments for the first semester exam have just been announced. Everyone knows surviving this brutal exam requires a solid teammate. When asked who he got, our guy quietly checks his screen, confirming he's paired with Hanajima Samaire. Meanwhile, discovering she's teamed up with the school's biggest rising star, Samaire is so overwhelmed with shock and excitement that she literally screams out loud. With the team set, the upcoming practical exam becomes the only thing everyone talks about in the bustling cafeteria the next day. The real test is about to begin. Rinya enthusiastically welcomes our boy to Class F. The cheerful Saiwu is so hyped that he jokingly proposes to him, making the whole scene lively and chaotic. However, our boy is completely unfazed by the jokes. They gather in the cafeteria for a relaxed meal, until Saiwa casually brings up a specific name. That name is Samaire. The moment it's mentioned, the surrounding students instantly freeze in shock, as if they've just heard a terrifying taboo. Seeing everyone's extreme reactions, a classmate lowers his voice to explain. At first, the class didn't actually dislike the quiet purple-haired girl. When she first transferred, everyone just thought she was shy and even wanted to help her fit in. But soon after, strange rumors about her started spreading across the academy. One night, a student returned to the classroom for forgotten items, only to find Samaire radiating a sinister dark aura while scribbling madly in a notebook, scaring him half to death. To make things creepier, someone tried to return her dropped handkerchief, only to discover it was full of eerie long hair. These chilling rumors make Samaire's past a dangerous mystery. Rumors painted Samaire as a terrifying figure, but students soon realized she was actually incredibly timid. Seeing her soft side, they immediately started mocking her in the cafeteria. Unfortunately, Samaire overheard every harsh word. Faced with the endless gossip, tears welled up in her eyes. She felt so guilty for being a burden that she even considered giving up. Seeing her so devastated, our boy didn't waste words. He gently took her for a walk in the park and thoughtfully bought her a drink to help calm her down. With our boy's quiet support, Samaire finally clarified those creepy rumors. Her muttering in dark corners? Just calculating her tight budget. And carrying hair around? There was a valid reason for that, too. Samaire actually possesses a rare dark magic trait, Administrator of the Dead. She shyly admitted she could only use one skill for now. As for how powerful it truly is, we'll have to see how our boy brings out her full potential. To prove her strength to our boy, Samaire sacrifices her precious pink hair. With a mysterious chant, powerful purple magic begins to take shape. As the contract is sealed, a glowing skeleton rises from the ground. This is Samaire's proud necromancer summoning skill. Despite the cool entrance, Samaire smiles bitterly, admitting her skill has a fatal flaw. To demonstrate, she commands the skeleton to strike a nearby tree. The skeleton fiercely punches the trunk with all its might. But instead of breaking the tree, its own fragile finger bones immediately crack from the impact. Samire buries her face in embarrassment over this terrible performance. Our boy instantly figures it out. Since she has no friends to get strong hair from, she uses her own soft hair, making the skeleton incredibly weak. Seeing the sad girl, our boy doesn't laugh. Instead, he silently hands her something. If she uses the hair of someone with the ultimate martial arts body, what kind of monster will this skeleton become? Facing her classmates' whispers, Samire felt a bit wronged. But the very next second, her eyes widened in disbelief as our boy stepped up without hesitation to help with her summon. Bathed in an eerie blue glow, a complete skeleton rises from the ground. Mr. Skeleton, usually clumsy, now radiates an intimidating aura with piercingly sharp eyes. To test its power, Samire hesitantly ordered the skeleton to strike a nearby tree. With a heavy punch, the deafening blast and flying splinters left Samire absolutely stunned, while our boy just stood there looking totally unfazed. Then, a massive magical vortex erupted behind the skeleton. Samire was mind-blown she could usually only unleash 30% of its power. Our guy just smiled, noting that this level of strength should be useful enough. Looking at the unfathomable boy beside her, Samire's eyes practically sparkled with stars. She quickly turned around and politely rejected other team offers. She was definitely clinging to this carry today. Meanwhile, in the monitoring room, Examiner Lin Xiao stares at a massive holographic screen, listening to reports on the exam preparations. They've set up plenty of warnings to keep students out of the high-danger zones. The female examiner confidently assures that besides the famous genius Shin Heun, no ordinary rookie would dare enter the danger zone. Little do they know, our unorthodox boy is about to give them the shock of a lifetime. A luxurious cruise ship sails across the blue ocean, setting the stage for the Academy's new journey. The Academy's top ranker, Adela, is quietly enjoying the sea breeze, but her peace is soon interrupted. Heun, the battle-hungry genius from the Shinma family, approaches with a provocative smile. Annoyed by Adela's cold reaction, the fiercely competitive Heun leans in and directly challenges her to a duel in the ship's training arena. However, Adela's mind is haunted by a crushing defeat from just days ago. Exhausted, she coldly refuses the relentless challenge. "I don't care. I just hate losing." Just as Heun stubbornly insists and tension peaks, a shout rings out nearby. "Yusung, look over there." Following the voice, the classmates on the deck seem to have spotted something new and are excitedly gathering to discuss it. The commotion catches the two genius girls' attention. Hearing our boy's name, Heun instantly curls her lips into a meaningful smile. It seems she's found a much more interesting prey. Amidst the brewing storms, Adela, the Academy's top genius, remains perfectly calm. However, a bold underclassman suddenly tugs at her uniform from behind. Stepping uncomfortably close, the girl playfully yet aggressively hints that Jaehyun's #1 spot might soon change hands. Annoyed by Adela's indifference, the dark-haired girl maliciously shoves her. But she severely underestimates the top genius. Adela's terrifying automatic defense activates instantly, blasting the attacker away with blue electricity and leaving her to angrily swallow her pride. Cut to a lighter scene. Poor Samire is frantically protecting her head while seagulls ruthlessly steal her snacks. Meanwhile, inside the classroom, a strategic briefing for the highly anticipated Jewel Island evaluation test officially begins on the projector. Suguha, the intel expert, starts highlighting the crucial details for our boys' squad. It turns out Jewel Island isn't natural at all, it's actually the massive corpse of a rank 7 abyssal whale. And the legendary hero who slew this terrifying beast was none other than our boy's master, the Fist King. Hearing this, the initially clueless squad becomes fully invested. Even the usually timid Samire excitedly chimes in, pointing out that the massive residual mana from the dead whale actually altered the environment, turning the entire island into an incredible new ecosystem. Just as Samire explained, this magical mutation gave birth to strange creatures with crystals growing on their bodies. Striking these monsters in combat forces them to drop precious, jewel-like minerals, perfectly explaining the true origin of the island's name. Taking a casual sip of her drink, Suguha reveals the ultimate goal of the test: gather as many of these jewels as possible. When our boy and his teammates see the massive 200-point reward for high-value targets, their eyes instantly light up. A fierce hunting competition is inevitably about to unfold. During the pre-exam briefing, the team decides to play it safe by avoiding the big bosses. But right now, there's a much more important mission at hand. And that is raiding the ship's luxury buffet. They devour the food like there's no tomorrow, completely lost in the mouth-watering delicacies. The feast only stops when the guys end up clutching their stomachs, feeling sick from overeating. Stuffed to the brim, they slump on the deck to catch some sea breeze. Seeing our boy completely unfazed, Samire marvels at his endless appetite. After the others head off to sleep, our guy enjoys the evening breeze, admitting he's finally experiencing ordinary happiness. However, with tomorrow's exam looming, Sumire's anxiety creeps back in. Terrified that her mistakes might drag everyone down, she keeps apologizing for ruining the mood. Seeing her spiral, our boy gently interrupts. He reassures her that making mistakes is only human, and he'll always have her back, simply because they are partners. His firm words completely melt away her worries. But just as they share this heartwarming moment, an energetic voice suddenly rings out, signaling an unexpected catch in the dark. Meanwhile, our boy reminisces about his early training days. Even his master, the legendary Fist King, made silly mistakes like accidentally eating a poisonous mushroom and ending up bedridden. The Fist King taught him that everyone makes mistakes, but having a forgiving guide changes everything. This memory deeply influenced our guy, giving him the drive to protect Samire. Back to the girls, Samire and Suguha are having a heart-to-heart. Suguha notes how much Samire must miss her family, and Samire admits she thinks of them constantly despite choosing Jain Academy. To cope with homesickness, Samire often looks at their pictures. Blushing shyly, she asks Suguha if she wants to see her family photo. Samire proudly shows off her warm family photo, excitedly pointing out her adorable little siblings, while Suguha smiles and agrees. But then Suguha's tone shifts. She finally asks the burning question, if her family is so great, why did she transfer to such a faraway place? Suguha assures her that she doesn't believe the malicious rumors about Samire hurting her classmates. Hearing this, Samire instantly tenses up, stammering uncontrollably. Faced with Suguha's direct but gentle questioning, Samire takes a deep breath. Knowing she can't run away anymore, she finally opens up about her hidden past. In an instant, horrific memories come rushing back. It was a chaotic rampage filled with screams and trauma, the very nightmare that continues to haunt Sumire's soul. In Sumire's unbearable memories, she was ruthlessly blamed and cursed for her bizarre habit of collecting hair. The heavy guilt wrapped around her like an inescapable nightmare. The painful memories pushed Samire to the verge of a breakdown. However, facing her apologetic tears in reality, our boy just stayed quietly by her side, gently telling her that she didn't have to say anything if it hurt. It's okay. We all have at least one secret we want to keep. Our boy's perfect understanding completely untied the knot in Sumire's heart, deepening their bond under the beautiful starry sky. With the warm night talk concluded, a giant cruise ship soon sailed into a spectacular view. The examiner, Lin Xiao, stood on the deck looking at the massive glowing crystal island, announcing their arrival at the final destination. However, the beautiful illusion of the island didn't last a second before reality hit hard. Deep in the dense jungle, an unlucky student was chased by countless glowing eyes, screaming for his life while running frantically. Accompanied by this desperate scream, the perilous survival test on Jewel Island officially begins. The real hellish challenge for these freshmen has just started. The exam officially begins. The instructor explains the simple rule: hunt monsters, collect their gem cores, and rack up as many points as possible within 2 days. Hearing the competitive rules, Samire grips her hands nervously, terrified of being a burden again. Noticing her anxiety, our boy gently suggests they split up. Instead of leaving her behind, he warmly encourages her, assuring her that as long as she uses his strand of hair, any monster below rank 3 is light work. Empowered by his trust, Samire's eyes light up with determination. She carefully brings out his hair, fully ready to unleash her ultimate weapon. But things never go as planned. Before she can even make a move, the ground trembles violently as a colossal, mountain-sized beast suddenly erupts from the forest. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the forest, a gem-bearing snake monster barely peeks out before being instantly skewered by a swift strike. The hunt is officially on. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, a different squad of students is caught in a fierce battle. Surrounded by monsters, one team member activates his clairvoyance to pinpoint the target, guiding his partner's long-range attacks. A massive, roaring monster with glowing antlers lunges at them. Fortunately, the team coordinates perfectly, as the girl doesn't hesitate to unleash a powerful blast of fire to engulf the beast. However, the high-tier monster's defense is insane, shaking off the explosion and continuing its advance. Seeing the danger, the archer quickly draws the bow, firing rapid energy arrows to suppress the beast. Just in the nick of time, a mysterious blue cube's power intervenes, infusing the weapon with intense energy. Leaping into the air, the student plunges the glowing blue blade straight into the monster's core, finally taking it down. After the fierce battle, the exhausted student falls to one knee, leaning heavily on her dagger. Though they secured their points, having to rely on an unfamiliar weapon and outside help leaves her feeling a bit frustrated with herself. Seeing her teammates' reassuring smile, the tension finally melts away. Having barely survived the intense fight with their barriers heavily damaged, they decide to set up camp and catch their breath. While other teams struggle on the brink of elimination, another student watches the patrol drones, wondering how our boy is doing. But knowing Yusung's monstrous strength, he's sure the enemies are the ones who should be terrified. However, the survival test is far from over. Suddenly, terrifying screams echo from the deep forest ahead. It seems someone foolishly touched the elephant's jewel, and the real nightmare is just beginning to surface. Deep in the forest, a student squad is running for their lives from a terrifying rank 3 monster. Knowing the huge power gap, the blonde leader rejects any idea of fighting back and drags her teammates to flee. But panic usually leads to bad luck. They suddenly freeze in their tracks, only to find a massive dead end blocking their way. Despair instantly washes over the entire group. Before they can even think of a way out, the gigantic, mountain-like rock monster looms over them, bringing a suffocating sense of pressure. With no way out, fighting is their only option. The hooded guy grits his teeth and quickly sets up a poison trap right under the beast. The rest of the team instantly syncs up. The brown-haired girl leaps into the air, her warhammer blazing with energy, and brings down a massive strike right on the monster's face. However, reality hits them hard. Despite the flashy explosion, her full-power strike does absolutely zero damage to the monster's incredibly tough shell. Instead of hurting it, the weak attack only enrages the beast. In a life-or-death moment, the blonde leader burns all her mana to summon a massive golden shield, desperately trying to protect her team. Facing a terrifying giant beast with nowhere to run, the exhausted squad members lose all hope and prepare to say their final goodbyes. Just in the nick of time, our boy blitzes into the battlefield like lightning, effortlessly pinning the massive monster to the ground all by himself. The surviving girls stare in absolute shock, finally realizing that their sudden savior is none other than the rumored overpowered transfer student. Meanwhile, a terrified scream echoes through the forest. The pink-haired girl braces for a deadly attack, only to realize her foe is just a harmless little carbuncle. She breathes a sigh of relief, but her calm is short-lived when she notices the mischievous creature has snatched her belongings and is ready for a snack. Desperate to get her stuff back without a fight, she tries a gentle approach, offering a stalk of rabbit grass to trade with the little guy. Unfortunately, the creature absolutely hates the smell and instantly throws a tantrum. Without any sweets to calm it down, she starts to panic. Just when she's at her wit's end, a brilliant idea strikes her. She quickly grabs a stone slab and starts crushing the grass to extract a better scent. Meanwhile, a girl is excitedly feeding a special nutritious carrot to a cute carbuncle, and the little guy happily leaps for it. After eating the carrot, the little beast suddenly bursts into a bright light. But before it can celebrate, Mr. Skeleton sets his sights on the jewel atop its head. To harvest the rare material, she mercilessly lets the jewel be plucked from its head, offering only a half-hearted it will grow back as the bald beast lets out a desperate scream. Meanwhile, popular streamer Amy finally makes a late entrance. Casually munching on a burger, she playfully winks to pacify the complaining fans in her chat. Seeing the viewer count skyrocket, Amy quickly cuts to the chase, excitedly announcing that she'll be going over the latest rankings for the practical exam. Unsurprisingly, the #1 spot is still held by Adela, the Academy's top genius. With her rare ice trait, she remains completely undefeated since enrollment. Right behind her in second place is Yuna from Class A. Her wild lightning trait might lack precision, but its devastating power is enough to turn any opponent to ashes. The exam is in full swing. Sohyun, the elite from Class A, teams up with his partner to systematically hunt down high-tier monsters, steadily securing his rank. However, the latest ranking broadcast throws everyone into an absolute frenzy. Our boy, a supposedly weak rank F rookie, has just skyrocketed straight to 3rd place. Watching him effortlessly one-shot a shock immune, Tier 3 monster with a single flying kick, the popular streamer Amy watches in awe. She swears to get him on her live stream. But he isn't the only dark horse shocking the crowd. As eyes scan further down the leaderboard, the name sitting in 4th place makes everyone's jaws drop in sheer disbelief. Taking the 4th spot is none other than Hanajima Sumire, the timid, purple-haired girl who usually sits at the rock bottom of Class F. The audience expects an epic, logic-defying battle, but when the camera cuts to her, the entire stream falls silent. Right in the middle of a deadly exam, she's kneeling on a mat, happily humming and cooking. As it turns out, Sumire smartly tamed the rare monster carbuncle with a special carrot, effortlessly racking up massive points. Now, she's happily brewing a rich curry, eagerly waiting for our boy to return for a hot dinner. While stirring her delicious pot, she gleefully hopes that his skeleton soldier will bring back plenty of jewels. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, the little gem-headed creature stumbles right into the quietly standing Mr. Skeleton. Meanwhile, Mr. Skeleton has just finished a fierce battle. Surrounded by monster remains, he holds a crystal and pins his hopes on a little green creature. Cutting back to our boy and Sumire, they are taking a well-deserved break. As the lid is lifted, the rich aroma of bubbling curry immediately fills the air. Looking at the tempting thick sauce and crispy fried food, our boy thoughtfully serves a full plate to Sumire first, making the shy girl blush instantly. Sumire happily accepts the food, and our boy takes a huge bite. Surprisingly, the heavenly taste instantly brings tears to the eyes of our usually calm guy. The natural sweetness of the onions perfectly blends with the rich sauce, accompanied by the crispy and juicy fried chicken. Our boy feels like his soul is ascending. Remembering his master's awful cooking, our boy realizes what real curry tastes like. Seeing him eagerly ask for a second serving, Sumire breaks into a purely satisfied smile. After a hearty meal, the two stand side by side watching the sunset. Right then, the midterm exam scores are officially announced, showing their team proudly in first place. Inside the test zone, students trying to take a quick break are left completely speechless. One look at the updated scoreboard, and they realize our boys' team has skyrocketed straight to 3rd place. This sudden shakeup on the leaderboard catches even the top students off guard. Even the genius Adela breaks into a meaningful smile seeing this incredible result. Meanwhile, over at the brightly lit Korea Hunter Association headquarters, a female executive rushes down the hallway with the latest exam data in hand. After a strict identity scan, she pushes the heavy doors open and steps into the monitoring room. Clearly, the wild turn of events in the exam has grabbed the attention of the higher-ups. Staring at that glaring ranking on the big screen, the examiners are just as baffled. The executive walks up to the association president, surprised that he's personally monitoring the students. Facing her confusion, the president smiles and admits he came specifically to see the Fist King's apprentice. The executive is stunned why make such a fuss over an F-rank student. Are you saying this rookie's potential could actually rival the legendary hunters of the past? The president just chuckles, calling it an old man's hunch. It seems the real storm is just beginning to brew. In the monitoring room, the higher-ups are glued to the screen. Our boys' rule-breaking performance has finally shown them the massive potential they've been longing for. Meanwhile, Sumire can't believe she's reached 4th place. But our boy is looking at the bigger picture to truly join the Elite 7 numbers. They'll need a lot more points. Seeing Sumire's lack of confidence, our boy firmly states that together, they can reach the top. Touched by his words, she gets fully motivated. But just as the mood peaks, suspicious figures approach from the shadows. The point hunters lurking in the dark have finally found their targets. Spotting the unsuspecting prey, the red-eyed villain Victor smirks, already tasting victory. The scene shifts to a 4-person squad sitting around glowing crystals, toasting to their rich mining haul. They're already dreaming of upgrading to luxury dorms once they return. Unaware of the impending danger, the squad's sweet dreams are cut short when Victor and his partner step out from the dark woods. Faced with these sudden intruders, they instantly go on high alert. When the squad demands to know what they want, Victor casually points at their prized jewel. With glowing red eyes and sharp claws manifesting, he makes his brutal logic clear: stealing is the right of the strong. Elsewhere, a 4-person squad faces absolute despair. Knowing they stand no chance against the A-class ranker Victor, they risk everything to buy time for one teammate to escape with their jewels. Facing their desperate counterattack, Victor doesn't flinch. With a sinister smirk and his eyes glowing a terrifying red, the vampire easily crushes their hopes with his overwhelming power. After easily taking down the squad, Victor checks his growing points. Glancing at the top ranks on his device, his greedy eyes quickly lock onto an even bigger catch. Hiding in the shadows, Victor targets our boy, who is currently ranked 3rd. Seeing the gentle F-class Samire by his side, he chuckles, fully convinced this duo is just walking free points. Completely unaware of the danger, Samire happily suggests setting up camp. Suddenly, a massive swarm of bloodthirsty bats darkens the sky, completely cutting off any chance of escape. The infamous point hunter, Victor, blocks their path, demanding the F-rank squad hand over all their hard-earned scores. This notorious bully brutally mocks the F-ranks as trash. But instead of panicking, our boy calmly closes his eyes. Facing the threat, our guy flatly refuses to give up a single point. His teammate panics, knowing Victor goes absolutely crazy when weaklings act tough. Fully enraged, Victor flashes his crimson claws, promising to tear our boy into pieces before making him fail the exam. Moving at lightning speed in the dark, Victor dives straight for the kill. He laughs at our boy's closed eyes, thinking he's already given up. But the moment the villain gets close, our boy's right fist erupts in brilliant blue light. A flawless battle god-style uppercut strikes without warning. The arrogant vampire is blasted away before he can even blink. This clean one-shot reversal leaves his teammate completely speechless. Facing the crisis of losing his seat, Suhain shamelessly tries to flatter the second-ranked elite of Class A, even offering his own points to beg her to join his team. However, the lounging elite isn't buying it. She sees right through his stuttering excuses, mercilessly mocking his desperate and poorly planned proposal. When Suhain plays dumb, she hits the nail on the head, pointing out he's terrified that our boy will snatch his 7-number seat once the exam ends. Seeing him struck a nerve, she casually unleashes her fierce blue lightning, mockingly daring him to try and steal her points by force. Faced with such an overwhelming power gap, a sweating Suhain instantly backs down. He frantically waves it off and humbly accepts an errand to fetch her drinks. But the moment he walks away, he clenches his fists in sheer rage. Humiliated like a mere errand boy, this stormy battle for points is definitely far from over. On the other side, Class A's president Suhain is flexing his aura. To him, this place is a brutal stage where only power speaks. As the president, he methodically commands his team to check their gear and head counts. Proper preparation is essential before taking on an unknown boss. Looking at his fully prepared elite classmates, Suhain is brimming with confidence. He firmly believes that Class A will definitely clear it first. Meanwhile, a fainted brown-haired girl slowly wakes up. The moment she regains consciousness, Victor's terrified face flashes in her mind. She jolts awake in cold sweat, screaming in terror. Recalling how our boy one-shot the arrogant vampire, she can't believe he's really a Class F student. Facing a monster of that caliber, her first instinct is to run for her life. But just in her despair, the eerie skeleton flashes before her eyes. Thinking of this, her terrified expression twists into a crazed burst of laughter. It seems she's just found a crucial loophole. She realizes the skeleton is just Samire's summon. Cooling her head, she figures that no matter how OP our boy is, Samire is still just a weakling getting carried. Facing overwhelming suppression, the enemy girl panics. Knowing she's outmatched, she tearfully calls for a retreat, swearing to get her revenge someday. But Samire's skeleton has no intention of letting her go. Taking her desperate magic attacks head-on, the skeleton erupts with terrifying energy and lets out a deafening roar. The massive commotion inside the cave quickly alerts the students outside. Meanwhile, as the situation spirals out of control, a desperate enemy actually takes Samire hostage. But resistance is futile. The skeleton instantly overpowers the orange-haired girl, easily defusing the crisis. Witnessing this overwhelming power, the remaining enemy completely breaks down, desperately begging to be eliminated. The scene shifts to Suhain, the Class A president, casually doing math. Suddenly, a classmate interrupts to report that an unknown intruder has breached their area. Hearing this, Suhain's pen stops moving. He frowns, sensing something is very wrong, since their ongoing plan was supposed to be a strict secret known only to Class A. Under the night sky, Class A's president Suhain is wondering who took down 2 of his men. Just then, steady footsteps approach as the uninvited guests finally show up. It's our boy and his partner Samire. Seeing the duo backed by their skeletal bodyguard, Suhain's eyes immediately turn cold. Showing up at this hour means they already know Class A's scheme. Facing the interrogation, our boy casually admits that they do have an informant. With tensions rising, Mr. Skeleton steps up to protect Samire. Our guy stays perfectly calm, stating he's more than ready to throw hands if they insist. But then, he drops an unexpected condition. He doesn't want to waste time fighting. He just wants priority access to the Crystal Cave. Suhain is absolutely stunned. He had to mobilize the entirety of Class A's elite just to clear this tricky dungeon. The rest of the class bursts into uncontrollable laughter. To them, 2 rank F students trying to defeat a golem that troubles elites is nothing but a massive joke. Smirking at what seems like a suicide mission, Suhain confidently steps aside. If they are this eager to throw their lives away, he's more than happy to let them. Outside the dungeon, the A-class students are getting restless. Even though our boy is in F-class, he's still the Fist King's apprentice. What if he actually clears the stage? However, Suyun, the A-class president, sneers at the thought. To a fanatic believer in destiny, no amount of hard work can ever cross the massive gap created by innate talent. Back in the underground cave, our boy and Samire navigate to the deepest part with Mr. Skeleton. Seeing the glowing crystals everywhere, Samire is amazed they got in without breaking a sweat. Why was it so easy? Our guy chuckles and states the obvious. It's simply because of their F-class label. Those arrogant elites outside didn't even view them as a threat. Suddenly, our boy senses something wrong in the dark. With a sharp shout, he tackles Samire into his arms, narrowly protecting her from a deadly impact from above. As the dust settles, the massive energy core hidden in the depths finally reveals itself. Facing the eerie red glow, our boy's expression hardens. A tough battle is about to begin. Meanwhile, the examiners in the monitor room are staring in disbelief. They can't believe our boy and Samire actually wandered into the deepest part of the high-risk dungeon all by themselves. Seeing the terrifying rank 4 monster on screen, the male instructor panics and begs to stop the exam. However, the cold-blooded female instructor simply takes a sip of her coffee and flatly refuses. In her eyes, there's no such thing as absolute safety for a hunter. This exam is meant to be a massive filtering net, wiping out anyone who isn't tough enough for the real world. Back in the perilous cave, our boy doesn't flinch at the intimidating rock boss. He calmly gives Samire a new tactic: drop the control and focus purely on supplying mana to Mr. Skeleton. Samire worries the skeleton might go berserk without her control. But our boy looks at her with absolute certainty, making it clear that they can never be true allies without mutual trust. Fueled by this trust, Samire bravely pours all her mana into the skeleton. Our guy instantly charges in, determined to end the battle within the 10-minute limit of their linked state. Our boy's crushing strike from above unleashes a terrifying shockwave. Samire struggles to stand against the fierce wind, while the invincible rock boss begins to shatter under the devastating impact. As the battle heats up, Mr. Skeleton suddenly unleashes his true power. With a glowing blue fist, he fires a massive shockwave that illuminates the entire cave. Our boy smiles in pure satisfaction at his team's performance. Samire is absolutely stunned, realizing her summon is pulling off incredibly powerful skills she's never even seen before. Sensing the perfect opening, Samire eagerly calls for the final strike. Our guy steadies himself midair and unleashes a devastating energy beam that violently pierces through the battlefield. With a deafening roar, the massive rock monster finally shatters. Seeing the behemoth crumble to the ground, a deeply relieved Samire tears up, excitedly exclaiming that they actually pulled it off. Watching from above, our boy gives the duo his highest praise. Mr. Skeleton cheekily points at himself to claim the credit, an adorable gesture that leaves Samire melting with admiration. Just as Samire happily leans in to celebrate with her summon, our boy remains perfectly composed. With his sharp eyes still locked onto the debris below, he softly interrupts their joyful moment. He calmly drops the bomb. It's too early to celebrate, it's not over yet. Hearing this chilling warning, Samire's joyful face instantly freezes in sheer terror. Could an even more terrifying threat be waking up? A violent earthquake suddenly shakes the dungeon, shattering their brief moment of peace. Watching the crumbling walls, a terrified Samire realizes that their grueling fight was just a warm-up. The real crisis is just beginning. Accompanied by heavy rumbling, an endless swarm of golems pours out from the dark cavern. The sheer number of monsters leaves Samire completely panicked, but our guide doesn't back down, calmly analyzing the situation instead. The situation couldn't be worse. Mr. Skeleton is heavily damaged from the last fight, and if they get swarmed by these bulky golems, the summon will crumble, leaving Samire completely defenseless in close combat. Facing the threat of being surrounded, our boy makes a decisive tactical call. He'll break the enemy lines himself, while Samire stays safe behind the skeleton. She's worried sick, but in dire situations, hunters must make the most rational choice. A comrade is someone who believes in that choice. Leaving her with those reassuring words, Yusung steps forward, erupting in a blinding blue aura. Under Samire's astonished gaze, he flawlessly shifts into his pure battle god style stance. Wild Dragon Combo. Brilliant blue light illuminates the cavern as our boy charges into the monster horde like an unleashed beast. But against an army of stone giants, can pure martial arts really carve out a path to survival? Facing the fierce golems, our boy shows no mercy, unleashing a flawless combo that smashes their heads to pieces, while Samire watches in absolute awe. Thinking the fight is over, our boy soon realizes something is wrong. The headless monsters are still moving, meaning their true core isn't in their heads at all. Alerted by Samire's panicked cry, our boy easily dodges a sneak attack from behind. He apologizes with a calm smile, admitting he was a bit too overconfident. In this critical moment, our boy recalls the teachings of his master. The Fist King once said that breaking a golem's limbs is useless. You must destroy the core hidden inside them. But what if the core isn't in the head or the chest? Remembering his confused younger self and his master's cryptic explanation. Following this distant memory, our boy's eyes suddenly light up with clarity as he finally uncovers the true secret behind these monsters. Calming his worried companions, he points out that these golems are merely illusions. The real power source must be hidden somewhere within this very cave, waiting to be destroyed. Meanwhile, thanks to our boy's sharp instincts, the team figures out the trick to the crystal cave and finally locates the glowing core. While the examiner is still amazed by our boy's quick progress, a massive earthquake suddenly shakes the dungeon, throwing the senior students outside into a panic. Facing the sudden chaos, the blue-haired vice president frowns. According to their recon team, this massive disturbance means the 5 unbeatable crystal golems have awakened. The students are completely mind-blown, unable to believe that an F-rank freshman actually made it all the way to the boss golems. Seeing the chaotic crowd, the vice president calmly takes off his goggles and tells everyone to relax. In his eyes, expecting an F rank to defeat a high-tier golem is completely ridiculous. The students quickly calm down, laughing that our boy will probably be carried to the infirmary in tears. The vice president smoothly takes control and assigns teams to secure the area. Even though he plays it off as impossible, the vice president isn't taking any chances. He grabs 2 top fighters and steps straight through the water barrier to investigate the cave himself. Channeling his full power, our boy unleashes a devastating battle god-style palm strike, blasting the crystal structure into pieces with a surge of blue aura. The intense strike leaves him panting. But as the crystal shatters, a blinding white light erupts, triggering violent chain explosions all around them. Explosive warnings flood the system instantly. Realizing the deadly threat, a teammate screams desperately for Samire to get down before the blast hits. A massive shockwave ruthlessly sweeps the area. In the nick of time, the loyal skeleton steps up to protect his master, taking the full brunt of the damage. Watching her loyal summon crumble into broken bones just to keep her safe, Samire falls to her knees, completely crushed by the sudden loss. Before she can even search for our boy, a blaring system alert warns of a terrifying rank 4 boss, plunging her straight into a nightmare. The terrifying memory of her mana running wild still haunts Samire like a nightmare. Luckily, she soon wakes up from the bad dream. Woken up by the morning alarm, Samire stretches out the lingering dread. Despite the cold sweat, it's a brand new day. Leaving her room, she is greeted by her parents' warm morning wishes and a hearty breakfast. These ordinary, cozy moments are incredibly precious to her. After a lively morning routine, she puts on her signature red muffler with her family's sweet reminders, heading out to school full of energy. As soon as she steps into the snow, 2 classmates rush over to give her a massive hug, thanking her endlessly. Thanks to her amazing performance in the recent practical exam, her peers were saved. Their genuine gratitude and reliance warm her heart. Walking down the school hallway, a usually aloof boy suddenly leans in. His unexpected greeting catches our girl completely off guard. He specifically praises her impressive exam results and tells her to keep it up. The sudden recognition leaves her blushing and totally flustered. But the surprises don't stop. The teacher announces that F class has produced its first ever top 20 student Sumire herself. This sudden underdog victory leaves her absolutely speechless. Surrounded by endless praise, Samire blushes shyly. Being the pride of class F makes her dare to dream of a better future, even if it feels greedy. In the snow, the instructor sternly warns them that hunters constantly face life and death situations. Giving up is an act of bravery, especially when mana goes berserk. With a blinding blue flash, the rank 5 examiner officially opens the dungeon entrance. The students step into the portal, kicking off their brutal practical exam. They manage to clear the first floor, but it takes a massive toll. Seeing everyone collapse, they quickly realize this exam is far harder than expected. The exhausted classmates pin their hopes on Samire and her skeleton. However, Samire is secretly panicking, knowing her mana is already dangerously close to running out. A classmate hands her a mana drink, earnestly saying everyone is counting on her. Gripping the can, Samire feels crushing pressure, unaware of the real dangers ahead. Overwhelmed by the suffocating situation, Samire clutches her drink tightly, trembling uncontrollably. Under the immense pressure, her mind drifts back to the original reason she wanted to become a hunter. Her initial motivation was incredibly simple. She just wanted to try hard, receive some compliments, and feel needed. She genuinely loved those warm, ordinary days, and the small sense of accomplishment. But those precious memories are violently shattered by her deepest nightmare. She remembers the day her summon went completely berserk, leaving nothing but chaos and despairing screams in its wake. The heavy trauma consumes her once again. Drained by the magical backlash, Samire falls to her knees in the dark cave, her skeletal summon lying completely motionless before her. Seeing our boy battered but still trying to stand, Samire's emotional walls finally crumble. Tears streaming down her face, she chokes out an apology, completely overwhelmed and ready to give up. Driven by guilt, she pours her heart out to our boy. She confesses that coming to the academy wasn't about finding the courage to change, but just a cowardly attempt to run away from her past. Though she deeply cherished the fleeting warmth of making new friends here, her lingering trauma always acted like a shadow, constantly reminding her that she didn't deserve any of this happiness. Trapped in the shadows of her past trauma, Samire falls to her knees in tears. Gripping her clothes, she tells our boy that a coward like her is nothing but a burden. Instead of offering empty comfort, our boy firmly rejects her self-doubt. He makes it clear that he won't accept her words, because someone who has held on this long isn't pathetic at all. Looking at his emotionally shattered partner, our boy opens up. He confesses that his true reason for wanting to become stronger was never to look down on or mock others. Remembering his master's teachings, he firmly reaches out to Samire. He tells her it's okay to rest, but if she truly wants to change, he will believe in her unconditionally. His words instantly pierce through Samire's defenses. In the past, she was crushed by the heavy expectations of others. But now, his unwavering trust finally shows her a glimmer of salvation in the darkness. Memories of wanting to be a true hunter flash through Samire's mind. With tears in her eyes, but feeling fully supported, she finds a newfound resolve. Feeling our boy firmly holding her hand, she completely lets go of her fears. In a split second, a terrifying wave of violent energy erupts around them. Taking a deep breath, our guy falls into his classic stance. When his eyes snap open with an eerie blue glow, his first martial arts form is fully unleashed. Meanwhile, the late-night broadcast is suffering a severe dry spell. Out of nowhere, a deafening boss raid warning pops up on the screen, completely jolting the streamer awake. Instead of panicking, her eyes light up with pure excitement. Popping open a can of soda, she eagerly braces herself for the massive show about to unfold. While the chat wildly guesses which genius dared to challenge the boss, she eagerly clicks her mouse to reveal the identity of this crazy challenger to the world. As the flashing broadcast signal finally stabilizes, our boy and Samire clearly appear on screen. Catching a glimpse of the duo, the once excited streamer is instantly left speechless. Standing there looking absolutely effortless, our boy hasn't even broken a sweat. What's truly terrifying is that a massive amount of surrounding mana is frantically gathering toward him. Facing the formidable enemy, our boy doesn't panic. Instead, he activates the Black Dragon's body armor. This greedy skill devours not only his own mana, but also sucks at all the energy around him. Compressing his mana to the absolute limit, our guy locks his fierce gaze and unleashes his signature battle god style, Wild Dragon's rock-shattering palm. A roaring black dragon shadow bursts forth. The terrifying black energy crashes down like a cannonball. The devastating impact instantly triggers a massive explosion, making the entire dungeon tremble under this overwhelming power. However, the golem tries its old trick, attempting to absorb the massive mana. Watching this, our boy just smirks. After all, if you bite off more than you can chew, your vessel will eventually shatter. Sure enough, the overloaded monster reaches its breaking point. It would be tough to handle alone, but thankfully, our guy isn't fighting solo. He gives a signal, and Samire immediately gets ready behind him. Feeling the immense mana shared by our boy, Samire completely shakes off her past cowardly self. Opening her eyes with pure determination, she duplicates the armor onto Mr. Skeleton. The real counterattack is on. Facing an unprecedented crisis, Samire leaves the battle to Mr. Skeleton. Erupting with blinding light, he clashes head-on with the enemy, creating a wild shockwave that forces everyone behind into a desperate defensive stance. However, the terrifying aftermath of the collision shatters the rocky ground beneath them. Amidst the violent tremors, the girls and the skeleton lose their footing, plunging straight into a bottomless abyss. Just in the nick of time, our boy decisively steps in to turn the tide. He is currently wearing the Arcana-class artifact, a legendary gear once used by his master, the Fist King. Known as the Black Dragon's Hide, this rogue item crazily drains the user's mana. But thanks to 12 years of hellish training and care from the Fist King, our guy has fully mastered this deadly power. Bearing the artifact's massive burden, Yusung closes his eyes and sinks into the essence of his martial arts. While others see black as terrifying emptiness, he sees it as the purest, most embracing color of all. Reaching ultimate enlightenment, his silhouette perfectly overlaps with his master's. Without hesitation, he detonates his full power, bringing down the absolute technique of the battle god-style Black Moon, ready to crush the crisis once and for all. As the giant crystal golem shatters, a glowing red boss core drops. In the monitoring room, the instructors are left completely speechless by our boy's overwhelming performance upon seeing the kill notification. Looking at the rare core worth 900 points, our boy smiles, confident this is more than enough to pass the exam. Samire beside him is just too stunned to even speak. Just as they are about to leave, Suhaim blocks their path with his team. Furious that the boss was stolen, the arrogant genius unleashes a terrifying blue aura, vowing not to let them walk out alive. The violent energy sweep through the cave like a tsunami. To protect Samire from this ruthless robbery, the loyal Mr. Skeleton takes the hit and is instantly sent flying by the destructive shockwave. Surrounded by elites with a massive magic circle blocking their retreat, our boy remains perfectly calm. He even turns to Samire and casually suggests that since they have enough points, it's time to go home. Seeing the corridor completely sealed off, Samire is terrified. But our boy just holds her hand tight with a confident smile. It's fine. Who said we're taking the front door? We're going straight to the sky. Meanwhile, the villains are completely losing their minds seeing our boy casually walk away. Unable to stop the F-rank trash, they start turning on each other in a hilarious display of helpless rage. Compared to the villain's meltdown, our boy is having a much more romantic time. He scoops up Samire and dashes through the night sky. The usually timid Samire clings to him for dear life until they land safely. Hand in hand, the two continue toward their destination. Seeing Samire so tense, our boy decides to tease her a bit, jokingly reminding her to figure out how to land safely if she accidentally lets go. Despite hearing his gentle praise, a wave of bittersweet sadness washes over Samire. She follows quietly, wondering if she'll lose any excuse to stay by his side once this exam is over. Lost in her anxious thoughts, a sudden misstep catches Samire off guard. Terrified by the feeling of falling, she squeezes her eyes shut only to be caught mid-air by a pair of strong, reliable hands. Seeing her completely spooked, our boy doesn't scold her. Instead, he leans in with a smile and asks if she thinks this is fun. Looking at his calm, confident face, her fear melts away, replaced by an undeniable flutter in her heart. After surviving the brutal test, the two finally share a peaceful moment. Under the breathtaking transition from starry night to sunrise, they open up to each other. Despite the uncertain future, this is undeniably their perfect fresh start. Suddenly, the system announcement rings out, declaring the end of the test. The final rankings leave everyone in awe. Our boy claims the top spot without a doubt, and Samire miraculously takes second place. Seeing the results, she literally jumps for joy. Seeing these unbelievable rankings, the higher-ups in the monitoring room completely lose their minds. An F-rank defect not only crushed the top geniuses, but is also about to secure a seat among the Academy's elite 7 numbers. The scene shifts to the Academy's grand award ceremony. The principal gives an impassioned speech on stage, proudly introducing the dazzling lineup of the 7 numbers. The top geniuses gather, each with their own intriguing expressions. The principal's voice trembles with excitement as they witness a historic moment never before seen in JN Academy. The once despised F-rank student has shattered the class barriers with pure martial power, commanding everyone's attention. But not everyone is celebrating. In the shadows, the former rank 7 villain Suhayan looks absolutely furious. Having been kicked out by our boy, he tries to slip away quietly, only to be stopped by a classmate. She ruthlessly mocks him. "Oh, isn't it our number 7? My bad, I forgot you got kicked out. Although Suhayan tries to play it cool against the harsh insult, his tightly clenched fist betrays his burning rage. It seems the real revenge has just begun. Losing his title was a massive blow to Suhayan's ego. Pushed by the elite students, the former 7th seat vows to reclaim his pride at any cost. With unwavering resolve, Suhayan taps his smartwatch to finalize the application process. He is ready to take back the privilege he believes is rightfully his. Soon enough, giant holographic screens broadcast the blockbuster news across the academy. Our boy is defending his seat against the challenger, Park Suhayan. Fighting right after the exams has the whole school gossiping. Walking through the crowd, Suhayan just lets out an arrogant smirk, looking incredibly confident. Watching the announcement, the green-eyed girl from the Shin clan scoffs. In her arrogant eyes, there is no way our guy could ever win this duel. After all, Suhayan is not just strong, but incredibly cunning. They know perfectly well that he would never fight a losing battle without a trick up his sleeve. Cut to the rainy arena, where popular streamer Amy is screaming with excitement. Suhayan has actually wagered his international tournament ticket for this ultimate showdown. Such an unprecedented gamble naturally draws everyone's attention. Even top-ranked Adela and the elites gather in the stands to eagerly witness this battle of pride. Adela, the usually aloof top-ranked student, makes a rare appearance in the stands, surprising our boy's classmates, who also came to support him. As the announcement echoes, the brutal battle for the 7th seat officially begins. Warned that he'll either keep everything or lose it all, our boy simply tightens his grip in silent resolve. Before stepping into the arena, the nightmare of his past resurfaces. Dismissed and mocked as a defective piece by his family, those painful memories still gnaw at his mind. Meanwhile, a member of his estranged family watches coldly from above, waiting for him to fail. But to the roaring cheers of the crowd, our boy makes a grand entrance as the defending champion. The challenger, Suhayan, smugly admits he thought our boy would run away. But our guy is here to prove that his pure martial arts can crush any arrogant delusion. With tensions reaching the boiling point, the two lock eyes. As the system countdown begins, this highly anticipated destined showdown is finally about to explode. The battle for a 7-number seat is ruthless. You either snatch it or get snatched. Facing this dead end, our boy's eyes remain sharp, while Samir silently prays for his safety. Suhayan unleashes fierce energy waves with his high-tier trait. Facing this overwhelming assault, our boy doesn't back down. He relies entirely on pure martial arts to block every strike, shocking the examiners. Suhayan's attacks press on like a relentless storm, but our boy steadily pushes forward through the energy blasts. His unnatural defensive power makes everyone question his F-rank status. The elite students recognize our boy's skill, but they know Suhayan's ability can't be beaten by brute force alone. Suddenly, an even more violent surge of blue energy erupts. With Suhayan fully unleashing his firepower, our boy is instantly blown away and trapped by water constructs. Seeing him struggle, Suhayan smugly raises his fingers, completely convinced of his victory. Just when everyone thinks our boy will be drained to death, a cold smirk crosses his face. With extreme focus, he forces a mid-air recovery. The real counterattack is just beginning. Facing the provocation, our boy strikes first with a signature Battle God-style kick. The sheer force of his movement catches Suhayan off guard, causing the entire stage's mana barriers to tremble. But Suhayan is a top-tier talent for a reason. He withstands the impact and reveals his trump card, the unique artifact Legia's Ring, radiating a suffocating surge of mana to block the assault. An artifact of this caliber in a student match is practically cheating, leaving Samir in a cold sweat. However, Lin Xiao remains unfazed, believing that true hunters are forged in the heat of real combat. Smirking with confidence, Suhayan taunts our boy, believing an F rank has finally met his limit. As his mana erupts, a terrifying blue dragon phantom manifests behind him, ready to deliver a finishing blow. This is the power of Legia, the legendary horror of the deep. Suhayan directs the dragon to unleash a devastating spiral of energy, a blast powerful enough to pierce through space itself. With no room to retreat, our boy counters head-on with his black dragon boulder-crushing palm. The two massive forces collide mid-air, creating an explosion so intense it rattles the entire arena. As the dust settles, everyone assumes the fight is over. But against all odds, a figure suddenly leaps through the smoke. Our boy has broken through the artifact's suppression and is closing in. Facing the Tier 5 monster Sea Dragon Legia summoned by Suhayan, our boy is nearly swept away by the torrential currents. Undeterred, he charges forward with a sharp gaze, determined to shatter the chains of status. Their techniques clash violently in midair. Suhayan believes he has the upper hand, but our boy retaliates with the battle god style, finding a precise opening even amidst the overwhelming water pressure. Just as the crowd and even Adela think it's over, our boy is slammed into the arena floor. Suhayan arrogantly declares that victory was decided the moment they stepped into the ring. Suddenly, our boy rises slowly from the debris, calmly facing his shocked opponent. He proves that those so-called limits and destinies mean nothing in the face of pure martial will. Suhayan feels a shiver of true fear for the first time, while in the stands, Samira clenches her fists in prayer. Our boy's aura undergoes a massive shift, completely seizing control of the fight. With a deafening roar, our boy pierces through the sea dragon's defense like black lightning. Amid Suhayan's disbelieving screams, the arrogant genius is sent flying, ending the duel in a crushing defeat. A vibrant KO on the screen announces the birth of a new legend as our boy officially takes the 7th rank. Announcer Amy Rose goes wild, declaring his ticket to the international competition officially secured.